In this video, I'm going to be talking about Naruto versus Meliodas, and I'll only be using manga and anything canon to the manga continuity for both sides, which essentially means Naruto only has data books and the manga, because the novels are not canon to the main story, which is the manga, but they are separate continuities that have similar events, but in those events different sequences takes place, such as Fuse Momoshiki looking completely different in the novels, and he absorbed a star, which doesn't happen in the manga. And there's a lot more stuff that is different from the manga and novels. But anyway, as for Meliodas, I'll be using manga, data books, and the novels that were made by the author Nakaba Suzuki. Also, the energy systems will not be equalized because of magic and chakra being completely different. They don't function similarly, and they made out of different things, such as chakra being made of spiritual or mental energy and physical energy to make chakra, whereas magic in Seven Deadly Sins is created by your will, thoughts, and experiences, which is why abstract concepts such as Meliodas's emotions and Chaos, who is a conceptual being, which if you want to know why Chaos is that, watch my Yuabaha versus Chaos video for more information on it. Anyway, they can use magic, even souls and your consciousness can use magic. So verse equalization wouldn't work in this case. They will also be fighting on a isolated Earth-like planet, and it will be night so that both sides can use their full potential, which I'll explain why later. And I'll be equalizing their speed, since Naruto's speed is quite ass, as I explained in my previous video. But with that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy my cooking. Starting off with Naruto's scaling. We have a few problems with manga Naruto scaling, the first one being that we don't have proper multipliers in the show, nor do we know how much stronger adult Naruto is from his teen Sage of Six Paths self. But let's first figure out how strong teen Sage of Six Paths Naruto is before we can figure out how strong adult Naruto is. We know teen Sage of Six Paths Naruto physically scales to One-Eye Jubidara, since he was able to physically damage the Limbo clone, who is equal to Madara. We also know that pre-God Tree absorbed Madara is large planetary level because he spread the God Tree's roots across the planet. Then he gets bare minimum 2 times stronger for having his second Rinnegan, and then he gets a Shara Rinnegan, which is unquantifiably times amp in power, but I'll just say it's another 2 times, since it should be stronger than 2 normal Rinnegans. Then Madara is forced to absorb chakra far greater than the Ten Tails, which a freshly awakened Ten Tails had chakra equivalent to a small planet. And then when Kaguya took over Madara's body, Sasuke says that Kaguya is far stronger than Madara. Although this is all unquantifiable, I will just say, as a bare minimum, every time they say far stronger, it's just at least 2 times, meaning Kaguya is casually 4 times stronger than Third Eye Madara, which means she is 16 times stronger than large planetary casually. And I can't stress this enough, but teen Sage of Six Paths Naruto doesn't scale to Kaguya at all, so listen carefully. The only times Naruto has been able to damage Kaguya is when Kaguya is holding back and or nerfed. Examples: when Naruto used Boil Release, which drastically amps his physical strength, he was able to send Kaguya flying, but he did no damage to her. Also, do realize that Kaguya is holding back because she wants to absorb Naruto's chakra at this point of time. And every time she uses her space-time ninjutsu, it takes a lot of chakra to do. So she is getting weaker faster than everyone else. The second point is when Naruto cuts off Kaguya's arm after getting a temporary mental amp from Obito's death. But do realize Kaguya was almost out of chakra before she did her last teleport to the Genesis dimension. So her chakra should be borderline at 0, and only then did mentally amped Naruto cut her arm, but clearly that doesn't mean he scales to her at her best at the time. And lastly, after she pump slaps Sasuke Susanoo again, using more of her chakra, Naruto hits her with 9 Rasen Shuriken amped with the power of each tailed beast, just for him to barely do any damage to Kaguya. So no, Teen Sage of 6 Paths Naruto doesn't scale to Kaguya. And I think him using Boil Release to do no damage to Kaguya, and how Naruto like borderline durability negation attack barely damages her, which Naruto doesn't scale to the explosion of the Rasen Shuriken, only the activation process where he can throw it. All in all, this proves my claim of him being weaker than Kaguya, which makes sense since Teen Sage of 6 Paths Naruto caps at 2 times large planetary level, and Kaguya is 16 times large planetary level and does not scale to her expansive True Seeker Orb since it's a Hack's ability and not a Chakra Blast that could destroy the dimension. Also, it doesn't make any sense for this version of Naruto to scale to Kaguya because he got his power from Hagoromo, who concedes to his mother's power of her being stronger than him, and a weaker version of Madara was stated to be near Hagoromo's level, and Kaguya is far stronger than Third Eye Jubidara, which means that Naruto wouldn't scale to this Kaguya. Anyway, now we can get into adult Sage of 6 Paths Naruto scaling, which we know he is stronger than fused Momoshiki, even though Naruto is nerfed from Momoshiki absorbing a unknown amount of Kurama's chakra, and based on Sasuke's interpretation, Momoshiki and Kinshiki are a greater threat than War Arc Kaguya, but we don't know how much, nor do I believe fused Momoshiki is War Arc Kaguya level, and I'll make a video on why she would slam Momoshiki, but for the sake of the video, I'll just say that they are 2 times stronger than her individually, and fused Momoshiki would be 4 times stronger than her, and adult Naruto is somewhat above this. I'll say another 2 times at his full power if he wasn't nerfed. So in total, adult Sage of 6 Paths Naruto is 128 times stronger than his teen Sage of 6 Paths self, which, just to point out, these numbers are not true because there isn't any quantification for these characters on how much stronger they are. Anyway, we later see Jigen beat Naruto and Sasuke at their best, which means Jigen is 2 times stronger than them, since Naruto and Sasuke are equals. And then Ishiki is another unquantifiably times stronger than his Jigen self, so I'll say another 2 times. And Beiran mode Naruto is stronger than Ishiki, but it doesn't seem to be massive. He just has the speed and AP advantage against him. Anyway, with these unquantifiably not true numbers, Sage of Six Paths adult Naruto is still large planetary, but just 128 times above it. And in his Beiron mode, he is dwarf star level, and that's Naruto's peak in the manga. But to be honest, in the data books, Kinshiki is only planetary, and Momoshiki got this massive amp after absorbing Kinshiki. So in the data books, the scaling is ass, but we gonna ignore that for now. Well, at all times. Anyway, now we can go into Meliodas' scaling. So for Meliodas' scaling, it's straightforward. The behemoth was stated that it could destroy the demon realm, which I'm gonna assume they just mean the planet. Anyway, it was going to destroy the demon realm with its scream, stated by some random demon, and then confirmed by Zelgis by saying that Percival has to save their world. And in the anime, when the behemoth wakes up, just its presence shakes the entire demon realm. So it's more than likely gonna destroy the demon realm with its scream if Percival didn't calm the beast down. But with that being said, the amount of energy required to do such a feat is 1.133 times 10 to the 39 joules of energy, which is dwarf star level. And post purgatory base Meliodas with no sacred treasure scales to this because he scales above the 50% demon king, who scales above the behemoth. This is a low ball because archangels like Tarmiel can create an entire ocean by just saying ocean in a weaker body, and that's a star level feat, or 1.98 times 10 to the 41 joules of energy. And we see the likes of Base Galland cutting a stronger version of Tarmiel in half casually, and power restored Meliodas dog walks Galland in 5 seconds. So to be honest, power restored Meliodas is enough, and I don't even need to use end of series Meliodas, nor do I need to explain how Meliodas scales above the cosmology of his verse. So to be honest, if we just using the manga, Meliodas is slamming Naruto. And remember, Meliodas has crazy high multipliers that I'm ignoring. Anyway, now that we know Meliodas is stronger while lowballing the shit out of him, let's equalize stats so we can talk about abilities and hacks. So, we all know Naruto is a man with not much abilities. His main jutsus are shadow clones, which the more shadow clones he makes, the weaker they will be. That's why you can hit a shadow clone once and they will just pop. And that's because the user splits his chakra evenly amongst his clones, but he can control how much chakra he wants them to have only when he makes the shadow clones, and not when it's already made, as shown when Naruto's clone randomly popped when it was celebrating Himawari's birthday. The reason why it popped is because it ran out of chakra, so he has to make the clones as strong as he wants them to be before the jutsu activates. Also, All of the clones has the same abilities and hacks as the main Naruto. Naruto's next main jutsu is the Rasen Shuriken, and different types of Rasen Shuriken. This jutsu, once it hits the target, it explodes and hits the target with hundreds of these small needles to attack on the cellular level. His next main jutsu is the regular Rasengan, and he can just, which doesn't have any fancy hacks with it. Naruto also has regeneration. He can regenerate organs and cuts, but not lost limbs, as shown when he couldn't regenerate his right arm. But that's only with Kurama's chakra. He also has boil released, as explained earlier, that it drastically amps his physical strength, but it seems to be that he can only attack once until he has to reactivate the jutsu based on his fight with Kaguya, but this ability can only be used in Sage of Six Paths mode. Naruto also has Sage Energy, which allows him to absorb natural energy to amp all of his stats, and that's all of Naruto's abilities that he has shown to use in battle. And I know that data books say he can manipulate all things in nature, but that's obviously false since he couldn't regenerate his arm, nor could he save Obito from turning to ash, so there's a limit. And since the best thing he has shown with Yin Yang release is regenerating the Eye of Kakashi, and that's it, then that's all he can do with that ability until further evidence is provided. Anyway, now it's Meliodas' turn. So, the main abilities Meliodas has is his full counter, which has shown to work on both physical and non-magical things, such as natural lightning and darkness, which isn't magic based since demons can use it without magic. This is important because full counter reflects any attack back at its user by 11 times, which if you watch my Asta and Meliodas vs Vasto Lorde Ichigo and Teen Sage of Six Paths Naruto, then you will understand why I say it reflects the attack by 11 times. Anyway, this ability can be used at a range, as shown in the movie Seven Deadly Sins Grudge of Edinburgh Part 2. Meliodas full counters hundreds to thousands of Hellblaze attacks, which the technique Hellblaze is a fire that comes from the demon realm, which means it isn't magical fire, as it is natural fire from a different dimension. But based on the height of Meliodas, we can see that the technique has a bare minimum range of 50 to 100 feet radius, since you can see it as a AoE full counter based on the barrier around Meliodas, and this ability takes virtually zero magic to use. Meliodas also has a lot of darkness, as shown when a weaker version of Meliodas destroys Dawnfall. We also know that with darkness, he can regenerate the mind, body, and concept, as shown when weaker demons use a small amount of darkness to heal the brain damage of Gother's multi-dimensional range Genjutsu, when everyone thought Mayao was Estarossa. We also see Derriere regenerate from existence erasure, which that's what Goddess's Arc's ability does. It destroys the body and soul. We also see Chandler regenerate from King and Gother's combo move, which damaged his soul and body, but he regenerates that no problem. And finally, we see Meliodas' emotions regenerate from the Demon King's attack. 1 minute he is damaged and has blood. then the next minute he doesn't have no damage. We also know that emotions are abstract concepts, and we know Meliodas in Purgatory isn't physically there, which further proves that Meliodas, who has a lot of darkness, could regenerate on a conceptual level. He can also amp his sword with darkness to get 10 times stronger, and then amp his darkness, amped sword with regular magic to get another 10 times stronger, since just amping a weapon with destroyer type magic grants you a 10 times amp. And yes, darkness is a different type of energy system that can be called magic, but we know it isn't regular magic. Anyway, he can make himself 100 times stronger with that. Meliodas also has clones like Naruto, but the more he makes clones, the weaker the clones will become. But those clones can make more clones with Lost Vein, and it does not take any magic from Meliodas, as that's the special ability the sword has when it is released. And of course, the clones all have Meliodas' abilities, just like Naruto. Another thing, if the clones that the original Meliodas made makes more clones, then the original clones that Meliodas made won't be affected. They won't get weaker because the main Meliodas didn't make those clones. But the clones that were made by other clones, they will be weaker than the clones that the main Meliodas made. Meliodas also has soul manipulation due to being a demon, and he can physically interact with a soul and eat them, which will destroy the soul completely, but you will also gain the soul's magic and knowledge. He can also forcibly separate the soul from the body by just touching the person or saying some demon language like red demons, or just breathing and your soul just pops out, as shown by Derriere, who is a weaker demon than Meliodas. So Meliodas could just breathe or inhale and Naruto's soul just pops out. And also, Naruto wouldn't have any soul resistance on this level, since Demon's soul manipulation is a lot higher and better than Nagato's soul manipulation. Demons can manipulate multiple souls at once, they can also extract multiple souls at once, and it isn't some type of tug of war with the opponent like when Naruto was playing tug of war with Nagato. It's just, if a demon touches you and they want to eat your soul, you're cooked. And if they say some demon tongue language from a distance, or if they just breathe, your soul's cooked. So Naruto wouldn't have any resistance to demon soul manipulation in Seven Deadly Sins. Meliodas also has spatial slashes, as implied by Zeldris, that Meliodas probably couldn't break out of Dubs' dimension because his sword is made by him, which could be nullifying the effects of the sword. So yeah, Meliodas probably has sword slashes with Godslayer that can just cut space. And one more ability Meliodas has is that at nighttime he gets 4 times stronger due to him possessing darkness, which anyone blessed with darkness gets 2 times stronger. And then if you're a demon, you also get a magic buff as well, which is another 2 times. So all in all, he gets 4 times stronger. I don't think I need to explain why Meliodas would win with just hacks and abilities. And Meliodas has a lot more abilities that I'm ignoring that would be useful in this fight. So yeah, Meliodas cooks Naruto in every way possible. And even if you want to say 4D Naruto, but that's irrelevant when you have out-of-verse on Meliodas due to concepts and conceptual contradictions, blah de blah. So yeah, tell me what y'all think, and if you want to debate me, here is my Discord, and until next time, peace.